extremely successful with this. So the topic is graph using slope-intercept form. What is slope-intercept form? It's y equals mx plus b. So y equals mx plus b. Now this order, if the equation is in this order, you know facts. The m is your slope of that line, how steep it is, how flat it is. It is the slope of that line. So that's really a fun fact right there. You know it. The b value, that's your y-intercept. So wherever that line crosses the y-axis, you know it right from seeing it. And if you're able to identify that, you're going to graph really easy just by seeing it. And your other variables in slope-intercept form, your y and your x, that's points. You've got how many points on a line? A million gajillion infinity, because there's no end to that. You've got so many points. So if I plug in any value of x, I'll get a corresponding y. We've already dealt with that, so that's not what we're doing. That would be if we were making a table of values, and we don't have to. So let's try to understand this a bit more. Example 1, which has many parts, so I just wrote example. Identify the slope and the y-intercept of the equation. So number 1, y equals 3x plus 20. So you want to think which one is my slope? Well, which one is my m? M is next to x. Which number is that? If you give me x, that's not an answer. That's a variable. It should not be in your answer. Slope is a number. Remember, we talked about this. It's either a positive number like 1/2, a negative number like -3, a 0 like 0, or undefined like undefined. And none of these in slope-intercept form are undefined because they all have slope there, whether it's 0 or a number. There's something. Anyway, y equals 3x plus 20. Which one is our slope? That's the one next to the x. The slope is 3. If you ever need to change that to a fraction, just remember, no big, 3/1. Okay, my y-intercept. Well, that's my b value. So you got to look there. What's my b value? A positive 20. So this line crosses the y-axis at 20, and the slope is rise 3, run 1. So from 20, we rise 3, run 1. All right, cool. Number 2, we've got y equals 7 plus 2x. The slope, this one can be tricky. It's not in the right order. 7 is not with the x. 2 is with the x. So my slope is the one with the x, and it's a positive 2, which could be 2/1. Rise 2, run 1. My y-intercept is the number that is a constant. There's no variable next to it. Which one is that? That's my 7. So the y-intercept is 7, and then from that point, you're rising 2, running 1. Cool. Number 3, we have y equals 1/4 x minus 5. What's my slope? It's already a fraction. It's next to my x. It's 1/4. Rise 1, run 4. Don't need to change it. My y-intercept, well, that's -5 because that's a minus. So if you just wrote 5, you'd be wrong. Make sure that you write -5 so you're correct. Okay, last one, number 4. Hopefully you got all of these down. You'll pause at any time to make sure you do that. The last one here, we've got -2x, number 4, -2x plus 3y equals 9. This one's different. It's not set up in slope-intercept form. Technically, number 2 is not set up in slope-intercept form, but that's an easy switch. All you have to do is using the commutative property, change places, you would just put 2x plus 7 to rearrange it so it's in that order. I didn't even write it because it seems like, okay, so simple that we can just change the order. This one, you've got to do the steps. You can't just say, oh, let me just change the order, because the y is not even alone. So we got to go back. That was in our lesson, rewriting equations. You got to rearrange this equation so that you have y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to show you how to do that. If you don't remember, we're doing it quickly. We have 3y and we have a -2x all on the left side. I want y alone, so I'm getting rid of my -2x by doing the opposite, and that's adding 2x. Here's my equal sign, so I'm adding 2x. Now, on the left side, I'm left with 3y equals 9 plus 2x, except I want the x to come first. So all I'm doing is rewriting this so my x comes first. It's a positive 2x. 9 is positive as well. That's it. Not that it, but almost. Y is actually a positive 3y, so I need just y. So to get rid of it, I divide everything by 3. me with the equation y equals 2/3 x plus 3. So I know my slope, that's 2/3. I know my y-intercept, that's 3. That's my answer. So sometimes you got to do work to get the answer. All right, this is probably one of the hardest parts of the lesson. Start making a coordinate plane because our next example deals with that. It says graph using slope and y-intercept. Here's my equation. Y equals 3/4 x minus 1. Start making a coordinate plane, and then we're going to talk about the whole problem. Okay, so y equals 3/4 x minus 1. I made my coordinate plane. You can see it here. I labeled my variables x for the horizontal and y for the vertical lines. I have tick marks. I didn't write numbers on all of them. I wrote them on every other. So I have a 0, a 2, 4, yada, yada, yada. Let me see if I can. Whoa, getting real close to myself. Here we go. Okay. So, ouch. Sorry, hurt my arm. Okay. Y equals 3/4 x minus 1, which is my slope, which is my y-intercept. So my slope is 3/4, and my y-intercept is -1. So here are my steps if you want to write them down. Step 1 is to plot my y-intercept on the y-axis. I didn't write that, but make sure it's on the y-axis. It's the y-intercept. That's where it should be. My y-intercept is -1. Where's my y-axis? Here it is. Where's -1? Here it is. I'm plotting a point right there at -1. Next step, use slope. Rise over run. Rise 3, run 4. So from this point at -1, from my y-intercept, I'm rising 1, 2, 3, and running 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's my next point. And then I'm going to do it again. Rising 1, 2, 3, running 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm slightly off the graph. So maybe I want to go in the other direction. So instead of going up and right, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3. But if I go right, I'm going to make like this weird V, and I don't want that. So I've got to go down and then left 4, and that's here. And now are you seeing they're all in a straight line? That's what we want. You can do even more, but you don't need to. Now I'm going to draw my line. Do a better job than that, please. Go through all 4 points. Use a ruler. I don't have one here. And that's how we graph using slope and y-intercept. This is my favorite way because literally you look at what your y-intercept is, plot it. Use your slope, draw your line. So this is the best way if it's set up in that fashion.